The Vikings are often viewed as bloodthirsty barbarians who pillaged across Europe for fun. But the truth was far more complex than that. They were intelligent, ruthless, cunning, and fierce warriors who had a knack for business. There were many reasons why the Vikings became such a powerful force to be reckoned with. And in this video, we'll explore what made these ferocious fighters so dangerous. The Viking Age lasted from the 8th to the 11th century AD. During this time, the people known as Vikings lived in Scandinavia, which includes modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. It was during this period that they established themselves as fierce fighters and skilled sailors. In the 793 AD, the first recorded Viking raid took place at the monastery of Lindisfarne in England. This marked the beginning of the Viking Age. From then on, Vikings set their sights on spreading their influence across Europe and beyond. Initially, Vikings were not a unified group. They were made up of individuals from different tribes who spoke different languages. However, by the 9th century, they had formed 3 distinct kingdoms: Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. These kingdoms would go on to become some of the most powerful and feared states in Europe. One reason for the rise of the Vikings was the introduction of a new technology. By the 8th century, Vikings had developed advanced ships with a shallow draft and a single mast, making them perfect for navigating rivers and coastal areas. The ships also had square sails, which allowed them to travel long distances quickly and efficiently. Because of this advancement, Vikings were able to travel to new lands and conquer them. They raided and traded along the coasts of Europe, North Africa, and even North America. Their extensive travels exposed them to new ideas, cultures, and technologies, which they brought back home and shared with others. This exchange of ideas led to innovation, and the Vikings became known for their expertise in shipbuilding, metalworking, and other trades. Another reason for the rise of the Vikings was the introduction of a new weapon. In the 8th century, Vikings began using a new type of sword, the broad-tipped leaf sword. This sword was longer and heavier than previous swords, making it more effective in battle. The Vikings also used axes, spears, and shields in combat. They were also known for their use of bows and arrows, which they used for hunting and warfare. These weapons gave the Vikings an edge in battle and contributed to their success in warfare. A third reason for the rise of the Vikings was the introduction of a new tactic. In the 8th century, Vikings began using a new formation in battle, the shield wall. This formation consisted of a group of soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder, each with their shield raised. The shield wall was highly effective in protecting against enemy attacks and allowed the Vikings to take the offensive. They also used hit-and-run tactics, which involved attacking an enemy and then retreating before reinforcements could arrive. This tactic was particularly effective against larger armies, as it allowed the Vikings to avoid a direct confrontation. Vikings were well known for their fierce fighting style. They were trained from a young age to be warriors and were expected to defend their honor and that of their family at all costs. They fought with great ferocity and determination, and their tactics were both innovative and effective. But it wasn't just their fighting style that made them so dangerous. Their mindset also played a crucial role. The Vikings believed that they were destined to be victorious in battle, and this belief gave them an edge over their enemies. They were also willing to take great risks and were not afraid to face overwhelming odds. This boldness and daring made them a formidable force to be reckoned with. Their society also played a part in making them such powerful fighters. Viking society was highly stratified, with a small elite class of nobles ruling over the commoners. This created a system of checks and balances that kept the power of the nobles in check. It also encouraged the commoners to fight for their rights and freedoms. This sense of equality and justice made the Vikings a force to be reckoned with. They were willing to stand up for what they believed in and fight for their rights and freedoms. The Vikings were also highly adaptable. They were able to adjust their tactics and strategies based on the situation they faced. This made them unpredictable and difficult for their enemies to defeat. For example, if the Vikings were outnumbered, they would use hit-and-run tactics to harass their enemies. But if they were in a position to take the offensive, they would use their shield wall formation to great effect. Their adaptability and willingness to change their tactics based on the situation they faced made them a formidable force to be reckoned with. Organization also played a significant role in the strength of the Vikings. They were able to form large, well-disciplined armies that were capable of waging war on a large scale. This was made possible by their introduction of a new military system in the 8th century. This system consisted of a professional standing army that was led by a king and a council of nobles. The army was organized into units of 10, 50, and 100 men, which allowed for greater flexibility and maneuverability on the battlefield. This organizational structure allowed the Vikings to take their warfare to a new level. They were able to launch large-scale invasions and conquer new territories. They also used their military organization to project power beyond their borders and to protect their trade routes. Finally, the Vikings were highly motivated. They were driven by a desire for glory, wealth, and power. This motivation gave them the edge they needed to succeed in battle and in exploration. They were also highly religious, and their beliefs gave them a sense of purpose and direction. The Vikings believed that they were chosen by the gods to explore and conquer new lands, and this belief gave them the courage to face the unknown. In conclusion, there were many reasons why the Vikings became such a powerful force to be reckoned with. The introduction of new technology, weapons, tactics, and a new military system gave them the tools and strategies they needed to succeed in battle. Their fierce fighting style, mindset, societal structure, and adaptability made them unpredictable and difficult to defeat. Finally, their high level of organization and motivation gave them the edge they needed to conquer new territories and protect their interests. Together, these factors made the Vikings one of the most powerful and successful warrior cultures of their time. But it's important to remember that the Vikings were not just fierce fighters. They were also skilled traders, explorers, and craftsmen. They were responsible for the first European contact with North America, and they established trading posts and settlements all over Europe. Their legacy is a rich tapestry of exploration, trade, and warfare, and their impact on history is undeniable. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to stay tuned for more historical tales. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.